Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. The Alpha 1 GTO is getting an engine upgrade. In favor of the stock engine, Doug decided to go with some American V8 muscle. The Ford 302 engine has been stroked to a 347. Fun fact, this engine actually belonged to Doug's brother, so he'll be reminded of him every time he presses on the throttle.
Well, we've gotten to the exciting part of our build, and that is putting together the engine. We got ourselves a 302 stroked out to a 347. And anytime you guys are putting aluminum heads on a Ford 302, the heads are always going to be bored out for a 302 or a 351 Windsor. So you're going to have bushings if you're using factory heads. Or in Doug's case, he went to a bigger bolt, a half-inch bolt, so we don't need the threads. The heads are already got holes for them.
Yeah, the other thing when you're stroking the motor like we did here, it's real important that when you do the stroker and they're doing the machining for your block, that they notch everything out, because being stroked, as it goes all the way around, the clearances are a lot tighter, and you have to notch the blocks in order for the rods to clear and for the pistons to operate properly. Otherwise, you're going to have some interferences.
Absolutely. And then when you're putting the crankshaft in, make sure you use a lot of assembly lube. Make sure that if you're using aftermarket bearings to read the instructions, because sometimes the bearings will have 3 grooves, sometimes they'll have 2 grooves, and it'll tell you whether those 3 or 2 grooves are going to be at the timing chain or they're going to be at the flex plate. So it's very important to read that, or you will destroy your crankshaft. And then when you're doing your ARP bolts and you're using your ARP lube, it's very important that anywhere there's friction, which is the threads, the bottom portion of the washer onto the surface of the cap, and the bottom surface of the bolt onto the washer, you want to make sure that you have assembly lube on all those items so that you get a proper torque and no friction is going to get in your way.
Yeah, and also when your block is bare, go ahead and chase all your threads. If you don't chase the threads and you have something into it, even though you put the lube into it, you may not get a right torque setting. So just get a tap, run it down, chase your threads, and everything will be, put the lube in and the torque numbers are right where you want.
Now this particular motor, we don't know what we're going to use as far as the oil pan. We have 2, front sump and a rear sump. Because we have an engine swap here, sometimes you have to go over the steering rack and sometimes you clear it. So that's why we haven't put the oil pan on yet. Also, as far as the front cover goes, we don't know what kind of accessory system we're going to use because we don't need power steering. We're going to be using electric power steering, so we really only need AC because Doug wants to be cold in the summer, and we're going to have an alternator. So we want to use the correct water pump to go with our timing cover for the accessory system. And then we're going to do a nice intake manifold, nice valve covers, and we should be good.
Absolutely.
Now I had my very trusted machine shop I've been working with for 25 years do all the clearancing and spec this motor out for us to be able to reassemble here with no issues. If you don't have that and you're doing this at home, there are some things you need to know. And
you have to make sure you have the right tools. So let's just say you pull a motor down at home and it doesn't go to a machine shop and you want to check it. You're going to need to have a set of micrometers and this so you can measure the crankshaft. You're also going to need tools here to measure the bores, and you use the micrometers with that. Or if you have veneer calipers, and with calipers you can once again ahead and measure everything out, because you want to go ahead and check all of your clearances from your crankshaft to your rods to your bearings to know exactly where you're at. If you don't have those things and you want to do some checking, that's where Plastigauge comes in.
They've got them anywhere from 0 to 3, up to 6, and even blue, it goes up to 10. So you want to take this, you take a piece of it, put it across the journal, put your rod cap down or your main cap down. You'll measure it. There's measurements right there along the package. It'll tell you your clearance and you'll go from there.